Hi, today I'm looking at Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by George Harrison from this album. George Harrison didn't write the song, but this is his version of it, which is probably the most famous version of it. It's an old song. Off of this album, Brainwashed. Amazing album. There's quite a few chords in this. It's not the easiest ukulele song, but when I first got a ukulele, it's one of the first things I worked out how to play, because it's such a great ukulele song, but it isn't the easiest. So there's quite a few chords you need to learn. Just going to quickly run through all of the chord shapes. So we've got F, D minor, G minor, C7, C, F7, B flat, B flat minor 6, C augmented, A, F sharp minor, D, E7, A minor, G7, E flat, C sharp 7, A flat diminished, F6. Okay, now some of those chord shapes will be very sort of standard conventional ones that if you played ukulele for a while you'll probably know, like C, A minor, F, D minor. They're all standard. There's a couple of chords in this where I've tried to work out exactly what George Harrison played, the shapes that he played. For example, F7, the way that most people learn F7 is like this. George Harrison played it with the little finger added here at the 3rd fret on the 1st string. So we've got 2, 3, 1, 3. Which actually sounds nicer than the standard one, I think. So that was the one he used. So some of those shapes you'll see from my demo a second ago, that they're not necessarily the standard shapes you might already know. So obviously you could use the standard shapes, that'd be fine. Right, so there's different sections to this song. We've got a verse. I've written it all down, so I'm just looking at my notes. We've got verse, chorus, there's a solo section, and then there's another chorus, which is the same as the first chorus, and then the last verse is slightly different. It's got like a different ending to it. We've got 2 beats of F, 2 beats of D minor, 2 beats of G7, 2 beats of C7. Played like this. In terms of the strum, you just want to do down, up for each chord. So it's down, up would be 1 beat. So if I played F for 2 beats, D minor for 2 beats, it would be this. Either with your thumb or first finger, or these 3 fingers, however you normally strum, or with a pick. I tend to use my first finger like that. Okay, so that's the basic strum for the whole song. So that first sequence was F, D minor, G minor, C7, 2 beats on each. That then repeats, but instead of C7 you play C. Now that is the first slightly unusual thing in this, I think. What would be a bit more standard and expected would be to play C the first time, C7 the second time, because C7 makes it sound like you're leading into something different. But he does this the other way around. He goes to the C7 the first time, but just plain C the second time. So I'll just put all of that together for you. And then the next 4 bars, we've got the F7 that I mentioned earlier with the little finger added. That's for a whole bar, so that's like this. So I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm playing this a little bit slower than the actual song at the moment. Then we've got B flat. B flat, standard shape for a B flat, you may already know. This one's flattened over 2 strings at first fret, and that one's 3rd string 2nd fret, and this finger is 4th string 3rd fret. If you haven't played that before, it might take a bit of practice to get the hang of that one. Keep your thumb quite low down on the back of the neck, really behind where that finger is. That's B flat. 2 beats on that one. And then we've got B flat minor 6, which is just covering 3 strings at the 1st fret, but you play the whole lot. So that was a whole bar of F7 and then half a bar, 2 beats on each of those B flat chords. B flat major, B flat minor 6. To put those together. So from the beginning we've got this. And then the next bar is 2 beats of F, 1 beat of C, 1 beat of C7, like this. And then here, the last bar of this sequence of 8 bars is an F for 2 beats and then a C augmented for 2 beats, which is that one. So we go like this, F to C augmented. Now what then happens is you repeat all of that 8 bar sequence, but on the end, instead of F to C augmented on the last bar, you just stay on the F for the whole bar, so it's 4 beats. So I'll just demonstrate that. So I'm going to play the whole of the first verse, which is an 8 bar sequence twice, but the second time the last bar is slightly different. Okay, here we go. And that's the first verse. Okay, for the chorus is actually a key change. So what happens here is we go to an A major. That's 2 beats, F sharp minor for 2 beats, which is an easy change because you just add that one finger there like that. So it's A, F sharp minor, 2 beats on each. D, you probably already know D. I either play it like that or sometimes I flatten this one over 2 strings. It's a bit easier, especially on a smaller ukulele. Some people use a thumb over those 3 like that, or one finger but just bending it so it doesn't touch the 1st string. You can find your own way that you prefer to play D. 2 beats of D, 2 beats of E7. I quite like my way of playing D here for then going to E7 because that slides back and that moves down. So it's quite a nice easy change, D to E7. 2 beats on each of those. So that was A for 2 beats, F sharp minor for 2 beats, D for 2 beats, E7 for 2 beats. And you play that twice like this. And the next 2 bars are 2 beats of C, 2 beats of A minor, 2 beats of D minor, 2 beats of G7 like this. So that's another key change there. And then we've got an E flat. So you're on G7, you've got to go to E flat. This 1st finger moves down to the 1st string. And then I put these 2 like this. And I can play this string open. That's a whole bar. So it's 4 beats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we've got the last bar of this sequence, which is 2 beats of G7, 2 beats of C7. So I'll just play the whole chorus for you. And that's the chorus. So after that chorus, there's a repeat of the verse sequence, but instead of playing the 8-bar sequence twice like we did before with the 2 endings, we just play the first 8-bar sequence with the first ending, which was F to C augmented. And that's a shorter verse, it's just that, so you don't then repeat the 8 bars. I'll just quickly play that to make sure you've got that. Then we've got the solo. There's a really nice guitar solo followed by a piano solo. Now, what happens there is the chord sequence is almost the same as what we've just done for the verse. I'll quickly demonstrate it. That's probably the easiest way to show you what happens on the solo. It's a 16-bar sequence. So it's quite a long sequence, like the first verse was. And just looking at my notes, it's actually exactly the same as the first verse that we did, except on the very end, instead of just staying on F for a whole bar, which was like the second ending we were doing, there's an E7 just right on the last beat. So I'll just demonstrate the whole solo sequence. Now that E7 at the end of the solo leads into another chorus, and this chorus is exactly the same as the first chorus. So I don't need to play that, it's exactly the same thing as the first chorus. Now the last verse, it's nearly the same as the first verse, but it's just got a different ending on it. So we start the same as before, the first 8 bars exactly the same: F, D minor, G minor, C7, F, D minor, G minor, C, F7 for a bar, B flat for half a bar, B flat minus 6 for half a bar, F for 2 beats, half a bar, C to C7 is half a bar, so just like we did before, we went, and then F to D minor. Now that's where it's different. So that last bar was the one that has been different throughout. Originally it was F to C augmented, then it was just F, and then at the end of the solo it was F to E7. Well, at the end of this verse sequence it's F to D minor, and that sets up the last part. So I'll just play up to that point for you. Sounds funny stopping there, but it leads nicely into the next part. So we then have an F7 for another whole bar, and then half a bar of B flat, but it's not technically, it's not half a bar, it's actually a single bar of 2 beats. So all the way through this song we're in 4/4, so we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4 for each bar. This bar is only 2 beats, it's 1, 2, and then you're into the next bar. So it's the same as half a bar, but it's written out, I've written it as just a whole bar of 2/4. So we had a whole bar of 4/4 on the F7, but then just for the B flat, just 2 beats, and then we've got 2 bars back into 4/4 again, so it's 8 beats on the C sharp 7. And at that point, the strumming, instead of being just faster, it's almost out of time, but the beat is still there, but the strumming's kind of like this. Something like that. So you just basically play faster, but still count the 4 beats for each bar in the same speed we have been playing. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. So we've got the F7, half a bar or a bar of 2/4 on the B flat, and then the 2 bars of the C sharp 7. And then we've got B flat minor 6 for 2 bars, like this. Back into the usual strum. 2 beats on the A flat diminished. Now at this point, the bass is doing something different, and it, for this whole last section, the last 4 bars, the bass is a bit confusing really. I haven't really looked at it carefully what he's doing, because I wanted to just get the ukulele part. But I think these ukulele chords are right. But the bass makes it sound like almost a bit discordant. It's a bit strange. Anyway, so it's an A flat diminished, which is that one. 2 beats. 2 beats on C7. And then the last bar is just an F. And I think what George Harrison does is just this. But the guitar, halfway through that very last bar, after this, now, on beat 3, plays some kind of an F6 or maybe an F6/9. Now the closest we can get on ukulele is to play an F6 like this, bar across 5th fret, and play all of the strings. Now if you're playing this in a band and you're exactly replicating the George Harrison version, you've got the same lineup, then your guitarist will play that F6. But realistically, most people playing this song are probably just going to be playing it on their own on the ukulele. And if you don't put that F6 in on the ukulele, even though George Harrison didn't, I don't think he did, it doesn't sound right if you just stop there. It needs that F6 on the end, so last 2 bars would be. And if I did it without the F6, which George Harrison played, it'd be this. It just doesn't feel right to not do that. So I've added that one in. That's the only deviation from the ukulele part on this recording. I don't think he played that, but I've just put that in because I think it sounds good. So I'm just going to demonstrate the whole of the last verse. Okay, just one other little thing I want to mention. When I'm sort of playing through this, one of the things I think is slightly awkward, it's probably just because I'm not used to the shape, is getting to the F7 from the C. Now I tend to use my 3rd finger for C, usually like this. Getting to the F7. It's not a hard change, I mean I just haven't played it much, but when I was playing that then, it just felt a little bit awkward. Now one thing you could do if that happens to you, is you could play the C with your little finger. Now the advantage of that is when you go to the F7, that finger stays there, and that will help. Here we go. Makes that change much easier. Rather than... Depends how practiced you are on that F7. But anyway, that's just something to bear in mind. If you have any questions about that or about any of the chord shapes or anything like that, then please put them in the comments. And if you disagree with any of the chords, I'd definitely be interested to know which ones and what you think they might be. I'm quite confident I've worked this out accurately, but yeah, let me know if you think some parts aren't. And suggest any other ukulele songs you want to see as well. And please click like if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Okay, thanks.